morning and welcome to FYI. Of course, third Thursday is when we talk to the schools. Normally it's Wes Golden, but he sent Theresa Shultz, and today she is the principal, of course, at Clinton High School. Theresa, I talked to you the other night at a ball game, and it's been a while since you've been in on this program.
Yeah, I think it was back in 2014. Deb Olson used to have all the principals take turns, and I was back at Jefferson Elementary, so it's nice to be back here at the hot seat.
Well, now we're not going to make it too hot of a seat for you. You bring that up. You were at the elementary building, of course, now in your third year at the high school. Talk about going from an elementary building to a high school building. There's got to be a difference.
There are so many differences, but at the heart of it, kids are kids. And I remember thinking the day that I was told, hey, we're going to be transitioning you to the high school, I thought, oh, goodness gracious, what are we going to do here? But getting into it, especially after that first year, there are a lot more rules and regulations with credits and making sure that kids are eligible for a diploma in the state of Iowa through a high school, accredited high school, that there's a huge learning curve on the administrative side of it. But working with kids, that's why I do this job. That's what I love about it. And at the end of the day, our kids at the high school are just a lot bigger than the kids at Jefferson, but they are still kids and they still want to do so well, and they're looking for opportunities to be successful. So we love that at Clinton High, we're just trying to help each and every kid find that future ready, find that success, and make sure we're providing opportunities that if they're not sure what that looks like for them, that they can explore that.
You know, you're in education and now administration. So why education, and how'd you end up in administration?
So long story short, I started out in Perry, Iowa, for my first real education job. And I should say I started in the Iowa schools district, Iowa City School District, teaching preschool. But it was for a community preschool, so I didn't feel like I had quite landed a job. And so I got a job out in Perry, Iowa back in 2008, and I was hired as a second grade teacher. And Perry is similar in a lot of ways to Clinton, but a smaller community and a very blue-collar community with a lot of factories as their number one employers. From the time I was hired in early May till the time school started, one of those factories closed down. And in central Iowa, they have mega elementary schools. So I was the 8th second grade teacher at Perry Elementary, and when the factory closed down, they no longer needed an 8th second grade teacher, and they had a guidance counselor that had retired or left, and they said, we're going to move you to that position. And I said, I don't think I can do that position. And they said, oh, but we'll call it a success leader. And so I moved into a position like a guidance counselor called a success leader, and really just worked alongside kids to help them be successful at the elementary age. And I really liked that. Also, in my first year doing that, as I was only 21 at the time, our assistant principal had a couple of surgeries. And so I was someone with flexibility in my schedule that they said, okay, you're going to now slide into this position and help with student discipline. And I found that I had a real gift for that, even at a young age, that I knew how to talk to kids in a way that they would listen and make choices that would help them instead of hurt them. And I really fell in love with it. So I stayed in my role at Perry on and off, helping out with administration for 4 years, and then went to Des Moines Public Schools, where I was a dean of students. And so just have always loved the administrative side and really helping kids find their success. So fell in love with it right away, and I've been doing it ever since.
You know, I can echo what you talk about discipline, because I always get the honor to be the MC for the homecoming coordination. And the student body was so well behaved this year. Commending you on that.
Yeah, they really are a great group of kids, and I know everyone had a lot of trouble coming off of COVID just for a variety of reasons, but structure and expectations really go a long way to help kids feel good about themselves. And when kids feel good about themselves, they're going to do a lot better.
And Clinton High School's homecoming coordination, I don't think any other high school has a coordination quite like Clinton High School.
No, I do not. And I think it's awesome that we are the only queens and kings in the whole nation. We believe we are, so I think I'll have to continue to fact check that every year. But we really like to do coronation just because it really feeds into our mascot and restoring royalty or growing royal, everything that we want kids to see within themselves, stepping into those shoes and really living up to what they can be.
Again, visiting with Theresa Shultz, principal at Clinton High School. Well, if anybody's been by the high school the last couple of years, they know a lot of things are going on. The construction continues. So what's taking place right now, Theresa?
Well, we are in the middle, year 3 of 6 years in a construction project, and it's very exciting. Our building is going to be the best. I would put it up next to any high school in the state. Once it is complete. Our students have been great and so flexible as we continuously have to make changes just to work around the construction, but it's going to be worth it. Our community spoke really loudly that they wanted to keep your gym and our newer wellness center all intact with this, so it was really important to our community to keep Clinton High in the location that Clinton High is. With that, and while we want to honor our community, that comes with a longer construction process because of the tear down and rebuild. And so we are still in the middle of it, and we are about to enter the last phase, we believe, right around February 1st, which is coming up really quick. But if you haven't been into Clinton High for a while, phase 2 included our welding, construction, autos, and then all of our music departments have beautiful new spaces, so orchestra, choir, and band. And then in the center of that phase 2 is a state-of-the-art theater that will really be used for the whole community and can help the whole community shine for hopefully the next 120 years. But it is getting to a finishing point with the theater. We do anticipate that it will be completely open March 1st, and we can't wait to get the community in there. We are going to have an open house once that is completed to see the complete phase 2. We'll also have phase 1 open just in case anyone in the community that hasn't seen that yet. All of our classroom spaces. It really is a beautiful building. And so as we're going through all of this with completing phase 2, we moved into it in about October. But as we complete phase 2, then really phase 3 starts, which is what we refer to as the 1969 building, or the front of Clinton High that was built after the fire.
1969. I played that song just as we got into this. Mary and I went to the first open house, and one thing that did strike me was the students who were doing the tours, the pride that they took. And one thing I wanted to talk to you before we get to the weather break is, once everything is completed, there's going to definitely be a sense of pride, not only with the students, but I would think with the staff as well. You talk about the flexibility of the students. The staff, I would imagine, has had to be flexible as well.
Yes, and educators are a whole different breed of people, and we roll with the punches. We know that the end is going to be worth any right now sacrifices that we have to give, and the Clinton High staff has been so accommodating and so willing to work because we see the end in sight. A lot of our teachers, the vast majority of our teachers, are in their final spaces, and so they're enjoying the sweat and tears from the last couple years. And this phase 3 will have new suites for administration. Our guidance counselors will have their own suite on phase 3, and then we'll have a new art department and then 2 other classrooms that will be added in. But really, phase 3 will be super exciting because that's where our facelift to our commons area and then that grand entrance to this beautiful new theater will be seen. So it's going to be an exciting couple years seeing it all come together, and we're we're excited to have this for our community and moving forward our community with this new high school.
More with Theresa Shultz. Let's take a break for the weather, brought to you by Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
We'll get a nice boost in our temperature pattern for your Thursday. Lots of clouds this morning. We'll give way to more sunshine as we head into the afternoon, and that should boost our highs well into the upper 30s. For tonight, windy and some clouds returning, with overnight lows in the mid-20s. With your Storm Track 8 weather impact forecast, I'm meteorologist Andrew Stutzky.
Fair skies, some sunshine out there, 29 degrees, knocking on the door to the 30s. Our update brought to you by Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
Why do customers trust Kelly? Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning goes above and beyond with a maintenance service agreement. For one low annual cost, you can save 5% on repairs, have priority scheduling, and no overtime fees. Plus, it helps avoid costly future repairs. And if you need a new Bryant whole home comfort system, Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning has many different financing options to get you up and running, whatever it takes. Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning in Clinton, your Bryant factory authorized dealer.
FYI on Thursdays, and we are visiting with Theresa Shultz, principal at Clinton High School. Theresa, you are in your third year, and I talked to you briefly at the homecoming breakfast and pointed out the fact that next year you'll have seen the freshmen all the way through the senior year. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it will be a milestone for me. I remember the first year when I was at Jefferson, my first class that graduated high school. It's a different feeling, but this will be really seeing these kids start to finish. And a freshman coming in is still a little kid in a lot of different aspects, and they leave us as adults. And that's just a feeling that you can't really see in a lot of professions, of really just helping that next generation find their own voice, find their footing, and really be ready for that next step. So I'm excited for these kids. Every single kid that walks through Clinton High, whether they're there for a day or for all 4 years, they are one of my kids. And so I have a very vested interest in making sure that they find that success.
Yeah, I would imagine the physical and mental maturation through the course of a 4-year is quite a bit. So, open campus lunch. Talk about that.
Yeah, so it's not something we necessarily wanted to explore, but Phase 3 construction has given us a couple challenges in front of us with just space limitations. And so when we're looking at possible solutions, we really thought, where can we have kids eat lunch? And as you can imagine, just saying, have the kids eat in the classrooms, it might seem like a simple solution, but it has a lot of domino effects with trash, with it really being a brand new building, that we don't want to have unnecessary damage just because we're eating in a lot of different areas. And so we are going to open campus up. Once they start demo of the 1969 building, we are going to open our campus up for lunch. Kids can go off campus for lunch if they choose, and they just have to be back for their next class. We are going to probably open it a couple days early while we still have seating available to see how many students do leave, to see if we need to make other plans to further assist our kids in having that space to eat. All kids that want free lunch at school, it will be open to them. It's not that we're kicking them out, but we just have a space problem, and a lot of kids said, hey, we can help with this by going somewhere else. And so we are gonna try it. We know it might be a growing pain a little bit, but as a lot of people said, Clinton High had open campus for years and years, probably decades is more accurate, and everyone survived then, so we're going to survive here again.
Now, you mentioned something about with the kids. I mean, were the student council, did they have some kind of an input on this?
Yep, so the kids are very aware of all of our construction needs. If you go into Clinton High's current commons, there's a wall that separates the booths from the tables now. If anyone who went to Clinton High can kind of imagine that in their head. So they see what's going on, and just like all adults, most of our kids have their own opinions, and they're finding their voice to always speak up and say what they think. So, yeah, we did have a lot of feedback from kids and tried to get some community feedback as well. But the reality is, at the end of the day, we just don't have the space.
So now, the open campus, will it be limited to like maybe the upperclassmen, or is it going to be all 4 classes?
So originally we were going to do sophomores through seniors, thinking about who could logistically drive or walk, because some of our students live very close to the high school. But in more recent conversations, we're really looking at it just needs to probably be an open campus for anyone that chooses, because of the space limitations. They're just a lot smaller than what we had originally planned for. With that being said, anyone that abuses open campus and doesn't make it back for their class, their privilege will be revoked and they'll have to stay on campus.
Okay, before we get into the open block or the block scheduling, the construction, when they start the tear down of that old 69 building, the front, talk about that process a little bit. Will the state need to be closed, or what's going on there?
Nope. So sometime in the February timeframe, they will start tearing down the front. We have already cut off access to the front of the building for all students. The hallways, the temporary hallway that was from the pool entrance up to the 69 has been completely removed. And then from the commons to the 1969 hallway, it has been completely blocked off since winter break. So no students have access. All water, all heat, all electricity has been cut off to those areas. So then what happens is we need a buffer period from where there is demo happening to where students would be. And so that's all, I would assume, federal, maybe just state guidelines of how far we can have kids or how close we can have kids to that demo line. And so that demo line really pushed that cafeteria wall a lot smaller to make sure that our kids are safe throughout the process. But they will take it down. And they do anticipate that the front of the building will be off by late spring, early summer, so May, June type time frame.
That is going to look so different.
Yes, it will look different. Every time you go past the high school, there's something different to look at.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Boy, this time is just flying by. Block scheduling for the 25-26 school year. Explain that to us.
Okay, so what we're really looking at is how can we engage our students that they want to be at school. I know there's been a lot of talk about the new attendance law in the state of Iowa and really enforcing that kids have to be in school. And so what we want to say is how can we get kids to want to be in school? And we are going to change up our schedule to have a lot more opportunity for project-based learning and some work-based learning in there as well. And so instead of a 7-period day every day, we are going to have 4 periods on day A and 4 periods on day B. These will be longer class periods, and what that means is that the teachers and students will be able to dive into information in a lot more full capacity together and really take the teacher and make that teacher more of a facilitator and let the kids do a lot of the hard work of the learning and exploring. And so with this change of schedule, it just gives a bigger time frame, but it's also going to allow us some space in the middle of our day to create some response to intervention time, or what we used to call rise above time. So students that need extra help, that they have time built into the day to get it. Construction is always kind of an aspect of any conversation right now, just because we are in the thick of it. And having that block schedule is also going to open up that lunchtime a little bit more so kids can safely come to and from school without having to be in a rush over that lunch period.
What is the time frame right now? When is the actual bell ring to start the school? And the lunch period, what is the time frame for that? And when does school actually end?
So we start school, 2 years ago, we moved our school just to start a little bit earlier at 8:15, and we get out of school at 3:35. Our current lunches are about 25 minutes. When we go to open campus, they're going to start at 30 minutes, but we do have a contingency plan that if that's not enough time, we can lengthen it to a 40-minute time. And that just comes from our other class periods. We're going to shorten a little bit to get that time, because obviously student safety is our number one concern as we're juggling construction and best practices with school.
You know, going back to the start of today's interview, you talked about the fact, you know, how you got your beginning. It seems like you really didn't spend a lot of time in a classroom. It's always been pretty much on an administrative role. So how do you get yourself into what the teachers are doing in a classroom?
The best way is to be there and present and seeing what is going on, looking at what is the student experience in this school, and making sure that we're providing a student experience that is worth their time and worth their energy to put into it. We want to make sure that any kid that comes to Clinton High has an experience that really uplifts their life and that they can be proud of. And so really focusing all of our decisions on that and the student helps me in my role, but also helps with our leadership team moving Clinton High forward.
Who is your support staff? Who are some of the people that you work with on a daily basis that are there for Theresa Shultz?
So we have an administrative team. I have 4 administrators working alongside me. Matt Tobin, who recently had a baby, so congratulations to him and Courtney. He's an assistant principal that really focuses on student affairs, so student discipline, all of that kind of stuff. Jamie Schroeder-Reese is our administrator that really focuses on student services like special education, 504, ELL learners, so any type of special plan or individualized plan goes through her office. Sarah Irwin is our at-risk director. She is running our alternative site that currently has 7th through 12th grade students there, but also works with our online education. We, since COVID, have had students that have been anywhere from a couple classes online to fully online, and while that's not what we necessarily want for every student, it is a pathway towards graduation, and we want to meet every student where they're at and make sure that we get them to graduation just like any other student, that even if Clinton High doesn't work for you, we want to figure out what will work for you. And then rounding out the team is our athletic director, Kevin Bear.
Okay, that's quite a group. And then, of course, you got your secretaries and custodians and the people that work in the lunchroom. There are so many moving parts to a high school.
Yep, and then 84 teachers that are in there doing the work every single day.
Wes Golden, of course, is normally in on this program. Talk a little bit about what your dealings are with the superintendent of school.
So we have a meeting weekly with all of the principals and central admin staff that we really collaborate to figure out where are we moving as a district and how do each of our buildings move towards that vision. So every Tuesday, we are all up at the admin center working that way, but then in a lot of different capacities. Like last night, we had the school improvement advisory committee, SIAC, that we work with community members and central admin to really continue to move this work forward. So it is at least weekly, but in my role at the high school, I'm talking to him every single day as well.
Thank you so much for coming in. Of course, we get the opportunity once a month to visit with the Clinton schools, but I know you've got a social media presence as well, Facebook and different things like that, right?
Of course. That's how a lot of us best communicate, so we have to be on there at Clinton High School here in Clinton.
Okay, you're going to leave here right to the high school. What you got planned now, Theresa?
Today is day 1 of 2 finals days at Clinton High School, so tomorrow we wrap up first semester. And so we'll have kids coming and going all day today and tomorrow, making sure that we're passing classes.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.